Hi guys, what is going on? And welcome back to another episode of Total War Arena. So, what are we doing today? We are back with another episode of Battle of the Week with Dodishen. Dodishen? I'm going to go with that. Apologies if I'm absolutely butchering your name, which I probably am. I normally do. But yes, we've got this replay submitted. I haven't actually watched it yet. I kind of wanted to watch this because I'm currently cutting across from the Greek archer line to the Slingers. So, yeah, I thought it could be good to learn a bit more about Slingers. And I also was kind of interesting because he is fighting significantly against the odds. Because we can look from the start, he already has 3 players on his team disconnected. Got all these disconnected units already. I mean, he's just surrounded by them, which is obviously going to make his team's game significantly more difficult because anyone can take control of a disconnected player, but of course there's lots of fighting over it. And trying to play disconnected players is obviously significantly harder than having control players here, so it's always a disadvantage when your team has disconnected players, and to have 3 of them is really unlucky. But anyway, let's get on with this replay and see how Dodd, we're going to go for that as your name, you're now called Dodd, gets on with his slingers. Obviously, using them with multi-ADs, that seems to be the commonly done thing, I think. Makes sense, because you obviously get break ranks, which I think, what's that, about 25% movement, 18% at this tier. And putting his base movement speed about 4.84, that's a pretty solid base speed. He also got the infantry charge as well, which we need to make him go quicker. Obviously, slingers, the main thing about slingers is, of course, their range. They just have absolutely phenomenal range, which is what makes them really effective. They don't actually have too bad of weapon damage, to be honest. They have a really low penetration, only 10, so that's the base damage they do. So if you're shooting Romans or something from the front where they've got a good amount of armour and shields, then that's where they're quite effective. But their weapon damage is actually surprisingly high for a tier 5 unit. You know, if we compare that some Roman legionaries. Yeah, if you shoot these guys in the back, you're going to be doing about 20 damage if you avoid their shields, because you'll get the 10 base damage, and then you'll get about 10 difference between their body armor, etc. So he's immediately going in, getting some devastating hits into the sides of these guys. Look at the slingers. Slingers are also, you'll find compared to archers, are direct fire rather than arcing shots. You know, they shoot straight at the enemy. He's getting some very painful volleys in, racking up some really nice early points in this game. These Pushpinic mercenaries kind of got cut off from their own troops. They don't really know what to do, I don't think. I'm going to try and push into the back of the armoured legionaries. Don't think that's going to really be helping them though. So Dodd using the mobility, Dodishen using the mobility of his slingers to keep himself moving. Just targeting units that are nice and clearly in the open. And he's got clear shots, nice line of sights. Because obviously it's a lot easier to cause friendly fire with slingers. Because as I say, they have that really direct firing arc. So that kind of means if you're not careful, if you shoot an enemy, you know, with a unit of friendly units in front of you, then you'll almost certainly be causing significant amounts of friendly fire, which is obviously what you want to be avoiding. But these Retentus now turning their backs on him, which obviously meant he can get quite a lot of damage to the side from killing quite a few units there. War Dogs, careful. The disconnected archer player is going to get brutalised by those War Dogs. Gets in with initial charge, gets a bit of a knockdown. The War Dogs should cut him to pieces, really, which obviously they are doing. Look how quickly he's destroying them. Oh, Dog goes in there for a massive amount of friendly fire. It's kind of understandable to some extent because the archer unit is already lost. But I mean, he pretty much wiped out those enemy archers instantly by shooting them in the back. Probably racked him up a fair few friendly fire points. Now the handlers have turned up as well to try and get stuck in. Oh, he's getting some nice shots into the back of those handlers. Look at the damage. It's just phenomenal with these guys. In the right place, these guys seem really effective. The handlers going for a pursuit, but they'll be far slower. Yeah, using his infantry charge to pull range on them. Oh, those guys are going to rout. Not going to be so good. And it just wipes out the unit, really. Look at that. Just so effective. And able to use his speed to keep range. Oops, a little bit of friendly fire going on there. Oh, looks like I've swapped units mid replay. Somehow. You go back to Dodd. There we go. What's going on there with my replays? So yes, he's pulling back. It looks like these Romans are retreating, having been routed. But Dodd is pulling back out of that fight now, by the looks of it. And pushing back around. He's already accrued just over 2,000 aggression points so early on in the game. Get some shots in on those dogs. These guys are really effective against War Dogs. And obviously you get just a hell of a lot of points. That volley gave him like 300 points there. Get a hell of a lot of points for shooting dogs, because dogs on their own count as a whole full strength unit, and the handlers. So War Dogs and handlers are worth double the amount of points of a normal unit. So by using his focus fire there, he was able to get quite a lot of damage in with only like 100 friendly fire. That's exactly what he should be doing. I'm surprised he's not shooting into the back of these legionaries here. He's got the range you could use on them. Although they've now gone into Testudo. It's kind of limiting his options a little bit. It's actually being lost so far, this battle for his team. It doesn't look so good. Hopefully he's going to be able to pull this one back. Or is it going to be a heartbreak and all go wrong? It doesn't look like the enemy cavalry has really been doing a lot. How did the enemy actually have any cavalry? It doesn't look like they did. I was pretty unfortunate for the enemy team because obviously it makes it kind of hard for them to catch these guys. They did have some slingers and archers which they could use to counter him. But it doesn't look like he's really encountered any of them yet. Trying to kill Boudica herself. Oh, she got a hit. Oh, she's going for Fury. Oh, he missed. Boudica has escaped. For now, anyway. Is he going to go for, is he going to get her? Oh, missed again, getting some volleys in on these legionaries here. Going to have to do something about that because he's going to get capped out if he's not careful. Ah, there's some of the enemy slingers opening fire. So I guess he's going to put some volleys in on them. It's going to be painful. Yeah, that's quite effective. Killing off the units there. These slingers obviously trying to get a bit of cover from behind the buildings because obviously they don't have much of an arc with the normal guys. He's going to have to do something about these Romans though, sooner or later. Throwing some peelers at him. I haven't got any other friendly units coming back to base to defend. It doesn't look like they have, although this battle is getting a lot closer than it was. We still have a couple of tier 5 premium elephants down there in the battle. But he still has to get this decap in, which he still hasn't been able to do yet. Ah, he's going to go perhaps try and go up on this ridgeline here and then maybe shoot down on these Romans. Interesting plan. You'd think the Romans would realise. The legionaries here coming out to Testudo. He's getting dangerously close to being decapped. Okay, he's done a good thing here. He's basically split his units now, so he can double end the enemy Roman infantry. So he can get shots in from behind and the front, so hopefully they should be able to use their Testudo both ways. And hopefully he's going to be able to get a decap here. Still getting the odd shot from these couple of remaining enemy slingers, but I don't think it's something that's really worrying him. And then any second now, oh, looks like some war dogs have broke through as well. Those guys are all trying to get round to get onto this unit here, but he's going to get a volley in into the back with damage. There we go, and he gets the reset. That was very well played. That was exactly the right thing to do, splitting his units like that. You know, obviously Testudo is effective from the front and the two sides, but if you shoot a Testudo unit in the back, then you do full damage. So now he's coming around. He should be able to get shots into the back of this unit, I would have thought, into the back of these Romans, but he wants to deal with those enemy slingers who get completely wiped out. So he should be able to rack up a decent amount of damage into the back of these guys now with his volleys. Although it's obviously not much exceeding the armor value of the enemy because they're mostly sort of 10s and 11s, so these guys obviously have a pretty decent amount of body armor. Yeah, 159. So he's only really getting base penetration damage with wherever he shoots them from, front or back. So he's coming up to the observation point up here. It's still a completely drawn battle. It's like literally could go either way yet. The cavalry coming down. How many points has he got up to now? Wow, he's got a lot of decap points. So and he's up to 3,600 aggression points. As he's just slaughtering these Punic mercenaries, and he finishes off the unit before it can even actually get to him. And that is those guys wiped out. He's still going to have to deal at some point with these legionaries who are still set in base because nothing else has really turned up to deal with them. Although, actually, having just said that, it looks like we have got a friendly elephant arriving on the scene. I think that's going to be able to do quite a lot. I'll actually get him an infantry charge, but it's still enough to really get a decap going on, and that is what they need. And it looks like friendly units are now getting into the enemy base to cap out as well. And the cavalry going for the charge. Those Romans just broke Testudo. He's going to get a shot in. He is. Nice little bit of damage on them. He's perhaps going to push around the back, maybe we can expect to see. Possible. Battle's starting to turn against him slightly as well. It's actually a really close one. It's one of the closest battles replays I've watched, I think. To show how devastating these slingers can be. In the right situation, in a situation like this, it's really hard to counter them because the enemy now has nothing really that can counter these slingers. And they've got a bit of artillery, wherever that is. I've not seen that coming in. They've got these archers which can still be used to counter them, but obviously the slingers outrange them. So it will kind of mean Dodishen needs to make a mistake before these archers are going to be able to get in and amongst him. Because obviously he can easily outrange them. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard for the enemy team in this when they didn't have any cavalry for them to counter him. These archers look like they may be about to rapidly get into trouble though if these cavalry have anything to do with it. And I suspect they will. They're going to get charged badly in a second. Or not. Because that was a truly shocking charge. What was that? Well, it doesn't matter. You can get into hand-to-hand combat. He's getting these guys to rout. And as bad as the Greeks are at hand-to-hand combat, they're still going to be doing enough to be able to kill these archers pretty ruthlessly, I should have thought. Where is Dodishen going on with his slingers? Over here. I'm really surprised they haven't tried to pull out any of the units of archers at all. They are slowly getting cut down, and this is really what's bringing the battle now back into Dodishen's favour. 4,300 aggression damage of Slinger. That's some seriously good going. He's coming around, he's going to get into the cap, I guess, to try and cap out. The Allied base is still being captured again. But we've got this elephant here dealing with that, and I guess he can wander over to this unit and get in the damage he needs to actually rout them. Surprised he doesn't go for a roar if he has it, because he would rout these remaining units probably. Dush. Looks like they're coming in for a cap out. The enemy artillery is still set up over here. Oh, these guys coming in with a bit of a pipeline. So they're going to be driving the Romans back. Such an impenetrable wall of pikes. The poor Romans don't really stand much of a chance, to be honest. Going for shield bash as well. So Dodishen's coming around here. I don't know if he knows really what else he can do here, because he can either cap out, which is obviously fine, or he can try and get some shots on the artillery crew, which is what he goes for. Actually, he gets a reasonable amount of shots in. Oh, and he's got his other unit up here. I didn't notice he sent a unit around there. He's tricked me in the own replay. I didn't notice that. So he's pushing this unit around here. He's still being shot by more artillery, though. There's one unit of artillery there. What's the enemy got? No, it's just that one. It's just shooting at him. He's getting a bit of damage in on that artillery. And he's also getting a nice few extra cap points as well, because all his base points were on defending his own base, so he can now get a lot of cap points as well. And that's what he's going in for. He's going to be a big hitter. Oof. On the enemy pikemen, unfortunately, just got to resettle their decapping points. But the enemy artillery is actually now down and out of action. Just there. Legionaries remaining. And that, I'm guessing, is pretty much going to be this game. Let's stick it onto a bit of fast forward. He's going to bring his other unit into the cap. Get his few extra cap points. Bringing in some serious good amounts of points. Looks like a player on the enemy team as well also had an absolute monster game, which is kind of what's brought this game so close to the wire down to the end. I think it was really these enemy archers being caught by this cavalry that probably turned the battle in the end, because that was quite a decisive one. But Dodishen has played really well this game, accrued a massive amount of points throughout the team. Look at that, 10,000 points. You might even make it to 11 before the cap out, because you get an extra 500 points for capping, so that's going to be a super dominant game. And of course, he is there with just over 11,000 points. Wow, what a showdown between these two guys. So, hopefully you've enjoyed that as a replay. We had a Slinger Battle of the Week quite a while ago, but that was quite an enjoyable one for me to watch. I really did kind of enjoy watching that one. I'm going to be pushing across to the Tier 8 Hellenic Slingers, I believe, from whatever the Kanani is with her Greeks. No, the Helot Slingers at Tier 8. So we'll be seeing how I get on with them at some point in the future. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video, guys. If you have, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think he played well? Subscribe to the channel for lots more Total War Arena content. And thanks, guys. I shall see you all on the next video.